and we can discuss next week if you want to meet or not. Back to Birkat Hamazon. I do have the pictures, which I just have not sent. I got from Julia. But also for any of you who are interested, there is a recording on the website, and there are various tracks to it. I sent the PDF from Julia that's pictures of how it's divided by the tracks on the person singing. After today, I will send this out, but I found the singing part. I don't know if anybody else looked or found it. So you have to go to the website, Resources for Members. Then you go to the blue at the bottom of the page, and it says Resources for Members and Friends, and there it'll say Birkat Hamazon. So I will send that out. I could possibly send you the direct link, but then you wouldn't be able to look and see all the other stuff that's also available. So it's not altogether bad. There's all kinds of book resources. There have been a number of things done through Orpa's book club with interviews. Most of them have interviews with the authors of the books that have been read, and they're all available on the website. So there's a lot of good stuff on the website. So I recommend you. I commend you to the website, and I will send the path to get to it because I had a little trouble, so I think maybe somebody else might have trouble. Anyway, and I will send out the pictures of what the card looks like, because presumably if you are going to be meeting together as a sisterhood, as Women's League, we'll be using the card, so it helps to have what it actually looks like on the card. It is also in the Women's League calendar diary. If anybody buys those, it is in there as well. Okay. Any questions, comments, criticisms? Yes, Cindy.
I had a question about.
Sure.
I had a question about a prayer that was said in services, not last Shabbat, but the Shabbat before. After I believe part of the Torah reading, the person reading the Torah said we need to say Hazak, Hazak, and then did some type of prayer with that. What is that, and what is the meaning?
We finished the first book of the Torah, right? If you, I don't know, we do the full reading, so I'm not sure where it is on the triennial portion, but it would be at least the last portion of the last parsha in the book, even if you didn't actually finish the book, because I don't know where we are in the triennial cycle. So you say chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek, but I actually had something new this time, and I did not know. I have never seen this before. They didn't say chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. They said chazak, chazak, v'nit chazki. And the reason was, and I never realized this, it's based on who was the Torah reader, and it was a female Torah reader, and so it was done in the female, and I never realized it was based about the Torah reader. I thought it was just you finish the book, we should be strong and continue to be strong. But it actually related to the Torah reader, which I did not realize. So I learned something new this year as well. And that's what it is. But I don't remember any specific, I don't think there's any prayer that's read after that.
Maybe it was just, but I thought she said more than Hazak, Hazak, Hazak. And it was a female too, that female reader as well.
Yeah, so that's what they said here. I don't know. It's like I told you that you're supposed to say not Yashar Koach, you're supposed to say Yashar Koach, but a lot of people say Yashar Koach, so it could have been also that they just said the normal one rather than the female. But I had never seen the female before.
I don't think I know enough to know exactly what they said. I just remember the Hazak, Hazak. And then
because we finished the book. Each time when we finish the next one, you'll hear it again. Yeah, when we finished the book.
Reminded the rabbi that we needed to do it. So she's well learned.
And also, if you were in shul, everybody stood up also at that moment. Usually you stand for that as well. Yeah, so that's another, there are many things that happen as part of our services, and sometimes they come daily, sometimes they come weekly, sometimes they come monthly, sometimes they come less than monthly. It depends on what it is. Yes, Arlene Schwartz.
When you say say that referring to being strong, I thought it was being strong for all the congregants. It's referring to
That's what I thought too. See, we're all learning something, but I assume it must be tied to the Torah reader because they did it female. So
Okay.
I will look into it further, but for my husband, I'm sure he knows more than I do.
Yeah. I thought
It is for all of us, but it must specifically refer, because I asked Barry, my husband, I said, why did they say that? And he said, because she was reading. So we learn something new every day. I once had somebody that worked for my father that was just really a lovely human being. And she said, you have to learn something every day. But once you learn it, you can go to sleep. So I remember her whenever I talk about learning something every day. Anyway, any other questions about things that have happened, things that you're curious about, whatever, what we're going to be doing here? Yes, Eileen. And
I
yes.
don't have questions, but I was really buoyed last week by the phrase Baruch Tehi that you say to somebody after you've that they're supposed to tell you after you said Yasher Koach. I mean, that really impressed me. And I sent an email to my rabbi, and he said, "I'm happy you're taking this class."
See, you're impressed. Good for you. Good for you. Okay. Any other questions? No. Okay. So we are meeting today, obviously, for whoever is here. Okay. I also said in the message, I hope you got it. I really should change from AOL. My thing didn't show up that it was sent, and I assume you got a message that I sent last night about this class. Okay, so it did get sent. And so you know that the sign-up period is going to be January 10th to 12th for the next class. I also talked, before we get to this, I also talked to Julia, or corresponded with Julia, about the class and what their the different classes are learning, because I wasn't sure. And I did get a list of some of the prayers that the other teachers for this advanced beginner class did last spring. I think these teachers are also teaching again. I'm just going to read them quickly. It was in the spring. I don't know what they did in the fall on it, but this was what they did in the spring. They did the Friday night blessings, Shalom Aleichem, the Friday night Kiddush. Remember, it was Passover, so they did a little bit about Passover, the plagues. They did Baruch Hu and Shema. They did Lecha Dodi, Kati Kaddish, Mourner's Kaddish, Lachuna Ranana, Adon Olam, Matovu, Ein Keloheinu, Aleinu, and the blessings for the Torah. So that's what the other classes had done last semester, not this one. I'm not sure. The other thing is what the advanced class does. As far as I understand, the advanced class presumes that you are able to read all the letters, distinguish between all the letters and all the vowels, and read with some fluency. I think, from what I understand, it's more reading things that you're not so familiar with. Like, presumably, we're fairly familiar with Ein Keloheinu, for example, and even Aleinu. So we may not know how to read it. A lot of times we can sing it even without being able to read it. But you're somewhat familiar with them, whereas the advanced class deals more with really just being able to read things that you're not familiar with. As far as I understand, that is the difference in the class. I'm not clear. no one else used the Enkelahenu book. They used some other, there was something free from Berman House, which I don't know of, and something else that they used. So as far as if you want to continue learning, if you don't feel comfortable, really comfortable with reading, I don't think it has to be sight reading. I think sight reading is more really for the advanced, but I'm not sure. If you don't feel comfortable reading, then you should take this class again with somebody else. If you feel comfortable reading, feel that you know the letters, even though sometimes you have to sound things out, which I think we all have to do when it's an unfamiliar word, then you can continue to the next class, to the advanced class. I'm not sure exactly what they're learning. I wrote to somebody that's teaching it and asked, because Julia didn't tell me what they're teaching. So I don't know the answer, but the good news is you won't have to make any decision before January 10th, since you can't sign up before January 10th. So I will try to send something out if I find out exactly what's happening generally in the advanced class, so you can make a decision for yourself. I also have the power to recommend a class for you, whether you continue or move on. But I feel more comfortable if you guys decide for yourself. You know what you feel comfortable with. So,
Are you referring to this spring being the second part of this class?
February. It's really one semester. The classes are really one semester. They're not a year's class. They're one semester. So like this, I would just presume actually that this level, if I teach again, and I think I probably will do most of the same things. It might be done a little differently. I'll be more careful to really read the stuff first, as we started doing, that I would read it first so you hear what it's supposed to sound like. So I'd be more careful about that. But most of the same, I would deal probably with most of the same prayers, unless there was a request for something else, which I am obviously totally open to. So yeah, there are only semester classes. So this one will be repeated, and the others are also going to be done. They're done half-year classes. Okay, anything else? Anybody else?
I'm still a little confused. So, I mean, would we go to an advanced beginner part 2?
No, it's advanced. It's beginners,
called
advanced, beginners, and advanced. It's really 3.
Not intermediate? Not intermediate.
Not as far as I know. As far as I know, we'll see when the list comes out. But as far as I know, there are only 3 levels. Yes, Eileen.
I think one of the levels that was intermediate, because in the previous class I took was an intermediate, thinking that was just the one above the beginning.
No, I think you know what? I'm not sure. I think
than this one.
I think that was higher than this one. Yes, I think there's no advanced, actually. I think you're absolutely right. I think it goes beginners, it goes advanced, beginners, and then intermediate. So far, I think that's all there's been. I have a feeling. I think you're right, Elaine. It's not advanced. There's one more above us, which is what I was trying to say. But I think that's the intermediate. I think beginners, advanced beginners, and then intermediate, maybe the 3 levels. I think you're right, Eileen.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. All right. Also, you will be getting certificates for completing the class. Andrew, I'm not sure about you because I love you very much, but since you did not do the whole class, even though you're completing at the end, I'm not sure about that one. But thank you to everybody that's been here. It's been a great group. Anyway, we should learn something. Would you like to do the Shema? Because somebody had requested last week instead of Birkat Hamazon, and then before the next time we meet, you can check out the Birkat Hamazon. I sent the PDF. I will also send the pictures of the card, and I will send how to get to. I mean, you probably can get there a lot faster than I can. The singing on it on the website is on the website if you want to listen to that before we try to deal with it ourselves together. But I did have a request for the Shema, if people would like to do that. Yes, No? Yes, okay. So the Shema is on page, in the book of
155.
45 in the book. In the, let me see, let me get back to it because I know in the Sim Shalom, it's 112 and Lev Shalem, it's 155. Okay, Lev Shalem 155. And in the book, it's 46, the first one. If you have looked, or if you ever look in the textbook on the first page, which is not the first page, on page 45, it shows a picture of how it looks in the Torah, because this Shema actually comes from the Torah, the paragraph, and you can sort of tell. Another way you can tell, we discussed, why isn't it on? It's not on page one. What page is it? I said 155. I don't see it. There it is. 155. Remember I talked about the things that come from the Torah have the trope notes on it. So if you look at the words, the Hebrew, you'll see the trope notes, all those extra things that are around the letters that aren't vowels. Okay, so in the book, the textbook, it will show you how it looks, and one of the things that it shows it doesn't show it in the Siddur, which is interesting. The ayin and in the Shema is larger in the Torah, and the Daled and Echad is also larger in the Torah, or bolder. And the reason given that I've heard is that if you put the two letters together, you form the word aid. And aid means, anybody know? You need an aid for a wedding. You need two of them. I'll give you a hint.
A levy and a cone?
No,
Witness?
at your wedding, you will have two of you must have two of these.
Witnesses?
Thank you. Great. Good, Eileen. Exactly right. Witness. Aid means witness, and we are a witness to God. And so that's what the ayin and the daled are, bold, and that's what they say, the reason of it. And actually in the Torah, it is bold. Okay. So we start on with the Shema, the statement. I don't know. You don't stand in your shuls for this, right? I remember as a child we stood, but we don't now. Anyway, Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Then quietly we say Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. I don't expect you to say that. This is something we only say once a year, and that's on Yom Kippur. We do that second line out loud. That's the only time we do it out loud. Okay, I'm going to read the first paragraph. I'll read the whole paragraph, and then we'll read it together. Or we'll have volunteers. Va'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavecha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavacha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shiftecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shachbacha uv'kumecha uv'shochbacha. I knew that. Ukshartam laot al yadecha v'hayu latotafot bein einecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uv'isha'arecha. Okay. Now, does anybody recognize any of those words? Just throw it out and we'll just talk just 2 minutes about the prayer itself. If you any of the words, it can be a small one, it can be a big one. It could be a common one, it could be an uncommon one. Yes, Patty.
Asher.
Good. Any other words? Remember, we talked about that statute.
Nafshecha,
Good. Okay.
nafshecha,
Good. And that just so what to
was that the heart?
now nefesh, your soul. Lev is heart. Okay, but it's in the same place. Whereas nafshecha, it's levavecha, and the cha, remember, is you. This is God talking to us. It's talking about you. It's us, and a lot of this prayer is in the second person, because it's all you. Oftentimes we're talking to God, and we say we, and we talked about a lot of first person plural. This is actually the first person, second person singular. So it's cha. Okay. Elohecha, your God. Yes.
The other
Eileen.
one is mezuzot.
Good. So good. And but if you look in the English, and I usually don't ask you to look in the English, it says doorpost. It doesn't say a mezuzah, it says doorpost. Mezuzah actually mean doorpost, but it came to mean the thing that we put on the doorpost. And the mezuzah is actually what it came to mean is actually the bayit. And if you know what bayit means, it means house or home. The outside, the case is at the bayit, and inside is the cloth, which is the paper that has the Shema written on it. This is good because if you're ever going to if you were going to buy a mezuzah for somebody, you should make sure it has a cloth in it, because sometimes they don't, because the cloth is expensive, because it's all handwritten. It's written by the same people that write the Torah, and actually written very much like the Torah, the way they do the lines and the kind of ink they use, and the paper, the parchment that they use. It's all like the Torah. So it is expensive. Usually it's at these days, it's at least $36 just for the paper that goes inside. But it doesn't really have much purpose unless it has the paper. So you will find some people that will have the bayit up on their doorpost, nothing inside. Or a lot of times places will sell you the mezuzah, what we call mezuzah, with a paper inside, not a cloth, a paper that has it, but clearly not a kosher paper, because they don't want to charge you the extra money. So that's just an aside. So it's something that we should all know about to be good consumers, and educated consumers. Yes, Celia, and then Arlene. Celia.
It's also in tefillin. The
What-
paper in the tefillin is also this prayer.
Exactly. And more so. And more. It has this and the other paragraphs as well. Exactly. And there are three divisions in one. And actually, you talk about now. So you brought them up. You brought up tefillin. Do you, Celia, or anybody else? Do you see tefillin in this paragraph? And you can cheat and look at the English.
Symbol upon your eyes. Mhm.
Yes, whoever that was. Thank you, Lynette. Was that you? I was looking
Yeah.
down.
Yes.
Yes, that's exactly
That's
it. Be a
tefillin.
sign upon your hand and the symbol above your eyes. That is tefillin. What we interpret. We don't really know, but that's what is interpreted as becomes tefillin. And that's why the Shema, one of the reasons the Shema is in there, because it says these words are supposed to be there. Okay, and that's what we understand as tefillin, or phylacteries, as they say it in Latin.
Where's the Hebrew word for it? Is it
Ot, it says ot is the symbol. Al yadecha is your hand. Yad ka. The hayu, the totafot. Totafot is bein necha, between your eyes. Einayim is your eyes.
The other word is hayom. Yom is the word we have in
Yeah,
this
exactly right. Yom is day and hayom is today. The day is today, actually, in Hebrew. Okay, good, great. Thank you. Okay, and Vahavta, remember we talked about that. That's ahava and love. And it's the same love we talk about between husband and wife and us and God, the same ahava. In Greek and other languages, there's different words for love between God and people and between people and people, but in Hebrew, it's the same word. Okay. Do I have a volunteer to start Shema? Thank you, Arlene. Schwartz.
Yeah.
And when Arlene Fisher to get nervous.
She will not get nervous. She's good. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'kol levavecha u'v'kol nafshecha u'v'kol me'odecha.
Fabulous.
Thank you.
Fabulous. Exactly. Honestly, and going back to which class, I think if you can read that well, that you can advance to the next class is my understanding. And also, you certainly could ask Julia, or, also if you're in the class, hopefully, the question is, we don't know if the class will be full. So I don't know if you'll be able to change once you sign up. But I think if you can read comfortably, even if you have to sound out a little bit, I think that probably you could go to the next level, just as what we were talking about before.
It takes
Okay.
an awful lot of review, though, going back over it. If you leave it from week to week and not do it, when I come back to it, I really forget it. I refreshed a little this morning before coming on. Otherwise, it seemed I was
Well,
telling my,
you know what? Yes, and that is
it leaves.
you know what? It will eventually. I think it will leave less. Honestly, I think that when it's beginning, it takes more practice. Then when you become more comfortable, it will take less practice. And yes, that's what honestly, I started out this class saying that the only thing that will make you fluent is practice. And if you go to shul, obviously that helps because you also hear it. It's another time to hear it. And that helps. And practicing yourself helps. Yeah. But I think you have to practice less now than you would have had to practice 3 months ago. I think it comes back quicker and it's a little bit more smooth. Yeah, but that's it. You got it. I'm sorry to say that is the situation. Okay. And just one more word that you should know, because it shows up a lot. Kol is all. So we should know that when it's all your heart, all your might, Okay. Do I have a volunteer for the next line? You. Yes, Eileen.
V'hayu havarim ha'ele asher anochi mizavcha hayom ala levecha.
Woo, fancy. Just give a little space between al levavecha because it is 2 words, even though it has the line between. I don't want I don't want people to think it's 1 word, but perfect. Obviously, you know that. Lovely. And that was what we talked about with all your heart. Yeah. Okay. Somebody else. Shinantam. Joyce, and then Lynette.
Vishinantan Livanecha Vidavarim.
Look at the vowels.
Vidi Barta.
Exactly.
They have the dot in the sound there, so then the Shiva, we pronounce the Shiva, that's where I get confused.
Vidi Barta. Exactly. Barta.
So, okay, Vidi Varta Bam Bishiftecha.
Good.
Vetecha.
Good.
Uvlechtecha.
Good.
Videch Uv shev.
No.
Uvet.
But after,
Uv.
you can't escape this. Uvlechtecha, the next word.
Wait. Uvlechtecha b'derech.
Va derech.
B'va.
Okay. See it? Do you see the va derech? Derech.
Vaderech.
You see it? Good.
Vaderech. I see it now.
Good.
Vaderech. Uv shev becha.
Shach. Shoch. Becha. It's a hard. There's a little bit of tongue twisters. Shoch. See the long T. Shoch.
So
Becha.
the shin.
Yeah.
The shin has the little line under with the dot.
Yes. So it's not an ah, it's an o.
The
Coal, like coal. Coal.
okay.
It's the o sound more. Exactly.
Uv
Yes.
Ushor Kavecha.
Sound it each vowel. Do each vowel. Just do each letter first, because the other ones are beautiful. This is this is really sounding out, and this is what Uv shoch v'cha.
Uv shu Ushuv
Shoch.
v'cha.
Good. V'cha.
Ushuv v'cha.
Yeah. Next word.
Ushuv v'cha.
Uv. Ku.
Uv kumecha.
Good. Exactly. If kumecha. Good. Good.
Kumecha.
Okay, you see it? I just want you to be able to see it. And if you have a problem with one of the letters or whatever, please tell me. Okay? Ushoch v'cha. It's hard to pronounce. Yeah. Kumecha. Good. Lynette.
Uk shartam laot al yadecha v'hayu latotafot bein einecha.
Fabulous. Okay,
Ooh.
one more. You want to keep going on that? You can keep going. That was short.
Okay, uv taf tam al mezuzot beitecha uvish she'arecha.
Visharecha. Good. There's not two dots. There's not a dot in the shin in it. So it only goes to one syllable, not two.
Okay. Usharecha.
Good. Fabulous. Sha'ar. Does anybody know about or Sha'arei Tefillah? There's a lot of it's gates. Okay, you have shuls that are named the gates of prayer or whatever. In Hebrew, it's Sha'arei something or other. Okay, because you're supposed to put it on your house, the doorpost of your home, which is the Beit Techa, and on the gates. Okay, you put it. You have to. The mitzvah is you have to put it on your front door. You actually are supposed to ideally put it on all your doors, but not the bathroom door. Exactly, Andrea, not the bathroom door. But there is, just as a point of information, is that there is a prayer to say after you go to the bathroom there, just as an aside, so that we should know that the rabbis really were concerned about everything. And you say poo, 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 but you know what? If it doesn't work, we're in trouble. It is a big blessing, as anybody that's had problems with that knows. So it is a big blessing to be able to work. And that's basically what the prayer says. It's thank you for having all of my stuff work. And can be an issue. Okay. Yes. So does anybody want to do any more of this prayer? We can continue. What you could do also, and if we continue further and at some point, is like read the next paragraph, even though we don't usually read it. It would be good practice just to see if you can read read, not just do the prayers that we know already. A lot of synagogues, and I don't know about yours, the one I came from does, this one doesn't, do the third paragraph out loud. It's the one where we actually kiss the tzitzit. If you are wearing a talit, if you're wearing a talit, this is the blessing that talks about wearing a talit. And so, and also before, just as an aside, when we do the prayer before this one, it talks about the four corners of the earth. And at that point, just so you know, when you see people doing this, is when, or sometime before that, people gather the four corners of their talit and hold the tzitzit on a finger. And when they get to the word tzitzit, and when they finish the paragraph, they kiss the talit, the tzitzit that are in their hand. So, okay. So, yes, Arlene.
My synagogue goes to 113 in Shalom. The last three lines, they always go there. Is that what you're referring to?
Okay, 1 minute. I got to get the book open. I don't have it open. 113. 113, you said?
Yeah, 113, top paragraph, the last three lines.
Okay, I'm there. 1 minute.
They seem to.
113. Okay. Yes. Yes and no. I when we do with most of our prayers that are read silently, we come back together. And I'm not an expert, and I don't know if there's another reason other than the fact, to be honest, that it's very helpful because you know where they are. When they've done silent reading, when they do silent reading at the end, they always end out loud. And usually in the books, there's a box. And this one, there is, in the Shalem, there's not. And the other one there is, but a lot of times people read more than the last little piece. But I was actually referring to the whole paragraph. And this paragraph is also in the Torah. You can tell by the fact that it has the trope note signs. All of this is in the Torah, and all of this is in, as I forget, Celia, I think, mentioned, is in the Tefillin. All three paragraphs, not just the first paragraph. That's in the mezuzah. I mean, the mezuzah is a little thing. Tefillin have a little bit more space, put more. But I was referring to the whole paragraph that starts, Vayomer Adonai El Moshe. It's the last paragraph. It's the one that ends with Emet, which is what you said. You can read the whole one, and they actually can sing it. I'm sure I lost it. Vayomer Adonai El Moshe Leimu Daber El Bnei Yisrael V'arata Alehem V'asu Lehem Tzitzit Al Kanfei B'Deihem. I can't. It is to the trope of the Torah, and I lost it. But if you look at it, it does. And if you just look at the third line in the Lev Shalem, and it's probably in the other one, it talks about tzitzit 3 times in one sentence. And that's exactly when the people that are wearing a talit do kiss the talit. And then at the end of the paragraph, they do again. Okay. So. But one of these, if we ever feel inspired to just really practice reading, is you could read one of these paragraphs because it's something that's in the prayer book. And if you're in services, if you get more comfortable reading it, you can even read it silently to yourself and practice your Hebrew. Okay. What else? What would tell me? Talk to me, people. Where are we? Where are you? More important. Patty, that is a beautiful picture. She even has makeup on.
Thank you. I had to turn my video off briefly, but I'll be back shortly.
No, that's okay. I noticed the picture. Lovely. Okay. So tell me what you would like to do, since this is all bonus. This is bonus time, so you have to tell me what you want to do. Do you want to do anything? Yes.
There's a prayer
Are we
for
going to do the
Israel.
Birkat?
1 minute, 1 minute, one at a time. All right, Lynette first, yes. The prayer
There's
for
a prayer
Israel?
for Israel. I always stumble with it. They say it way
Great,
too
great.
fast.
Okay, let me just ask if there's anything
Literally
else,
reading.
because
Yeah.
I'm gonna write that one down because we may do it now, but we can. Okay, any other requests?
I was just trying to understand for myself. So next week, we're going to do the Birkat Hamazon
Yes,
over?
that's the idea.
Or
But
is
if you
that
want to
done
do it, if
already
you
and
don't,
we
I
can
don't want
just
to push
practice it on
people.
our own?
Yeah, you can look at it if you want in advance. I
'Cause I
mean,
always
people
get
ask,
lost when they do it.
well, that's why you don't have to. People have asked me what we're going to be doing the next week. So I don't know what people do with it. That's up to them. But if you want to, you can. I don't expect anybody to prepare in advance. What I would love for you to do is to do afterwards. After we practice it in class, to just look at it again. That would be great. I don't expect anybody to do homework in advance. That's okay. But I like to let people know just in case they want to do anything or look at it, you can. It's not necessary. I don't require that, or not require. Obviously, there's no requirements, but I don't expect it. They also did the Friday night Kiddush, if that's something anybody's interested in, or not. Shalom Aleichem.
I would
I'd
like to
wine
practice the
one.
Kiddush. I think that would be a
Yeah.
great.
Okay, one at a time. Joyce and then Arlene. Yes, Joyce, was that you?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would really like to go over the prayer with the Kiddush. That would be great.
Okay, okay, Friday
Um,
night Kiddush.
Yeah, me too. They always,
Okay,
I can't get through other than the first line, Priya Goffin.
Right.
And then they go
okay.
quick race through it. I have no, I can't imagine how they do it so quick. So,
Now, they
I guess-
shouldn't do it so quick anyway. I really think that in general, that we shouldn't rush through our prayers, and sometimes it feels like people are. I don't think it's an honor to rush. I think it's an honor to be fluent so that it flows, and really what fluency that I think of is that it flows. But to rush, I don't think it's necessary, but it would be great. Sure, Friday night Kiddush and prayer for Israel. Any other requests? We have 3 weeks. Well, we actually have 3 weeks. So if we do Birkat Hamazon, Friday night Kiddush and prayer for Israel, that could be it, if that works for everybody. Unless there's Adele and E, you want to do? Sure, we'll look at that.
Could we do Ashrae?
Ashrae, is that somebody requested? Okay, all right, we'll see what we get to.
Is the prayer for
See what we
Israel,
get to.
the prayer
What?
is the prayer for Israel the one that they sing the Haktifa melody to? That one of them, they have that melody. It sounds like the,
What some people do, it's different in different places. We do that. They do the prayer for Israel at the same time as we do the prayer for our country. If we do that, one of the things our synagogue that I belong to now, because of COVID, they've tried to shorten the service. Before COVID, they repeated both Amidas, both in the morning and in Musaf. They also did a lot of prayers around. They did a prayer for our country. They did the prayer for Israel. They did a prayer for the Israeli soldiers. And I think there was one other one. We actually have not been doing them because of to try to shorten the service. And we also don't repeat the Mida anymore. But yes, that's where it is. And some people, like if we, I don't know if they do it anymore, Makom B'Yachad, the place where we're learning, they were doing the prayer for Israel also. And you can sing the first line, actually but the rest is usually read. It's not sung, the whole thing is not sung. I like reading it in Hebrew because I think it's appropriate. If we're talking about Israel, the language of Israel is supposed to be Hebrew. So I think it's appropriate when you do that prayer to do it in Hebrew. Not everybody does. When we did it in the Makom space, most people did not. But I personally think that it's a prayer that should be done in Hebrew. So I mean, I'm more than happy to go over it if you want. I know it's a prayer that I think is read out loud in most places if it's done, and it's done together. So you don't have to be, you're not on your own, as it were. But obviously you have to be somewhat fluent to be able to, follow and keep up. But that's what the prayer for Israel is. Anything else? All right, we can do one of these things now. We're gonna do it. We're gonna hop to Ashrae. It's gonna be my suggestion. Now I just have to find it. Ashrae is in a lot of places, just as an aside. I think it's in almost as many places as Elenu, but not quite as many. We do it before we put the Torah back. So let me see if I can find it here.
Page 214, left Shalane.
Oh, good for you. You're there already. 214, left Shalem. Okay. Good.
I have all the page numbers written down so that I can follow them.
Good for you. Yes. And let's see. And this one.
What page again?
And the left
Eileen's going to
Shalom
be
is
your
on-
right-hand lady to teach the
Lev
court.
Shalom, it's 151.
Thank you. Okay. We're there. Okay. Now, the tricky part about Ashrae is that the leader it's a responsive prayer. So it's a call and response, as they say. So the leader does every other line and the congregation does every other line. So, like, I know the first time that we had a sisterhood Shabbat and I had to do Ashrae, I was like, because I don't ever do the lines that the leader does. If you're in the congregation, it's not like Shema, everybody's singing together. If you're in the congregation, you don't do the leader line. But we can learn both sets, so we can lead or follow. So we are on Ashrae. It is
page? Lev
page
Shalom?
151 and the Slim Shalom, and 214 in the Lev Shalem. I think it was in this book too. I don't remember whether he did it or not. Okay. Okay. It is an alphabetical acrostic. If you go to past the Tehillah LeDavid. Okay, it's about 3 lines down. Aromimecha. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Daled. Hey, Vav, Zion. So it's an alphabetical acrostic for anybody that really is good on the alphabet. You'll notice that there's one letter missing, and I don't think they really know why it's missing unless they just lost it somewhere along the way. I've never heard a good explanation why. The nun is the one that's missing. But other than that, it's a complete alphabetical acrostic. So
I'm sorry, what page is that on Lev Shalom?
214.
Really?
No? Not in your book on 214?
Shabbat service, it's on 181.
Okay, 181. Somebody said 214, so I went there. That's why I said it's in a lot of places. In the Shabbat service, we actually do it twice. Early on and then later on. Yeah. Okay. So we start with, the leader starts. Ashrae Yoshvei Vetecha. Okay, another word we heard before, Vetecha. Od Yahalucha Sela. Ashrae Ha'am Shekacha Lo. Ashrae Ha'am She'adonai Elohav. So do we want to learn just to be a participant? No, I don't need it. Tehillah David. Haromimcha Elohai Hamelech Avar why can't I read this? Shimcha La'olam Tehillah David. Mincha Hamelech Avarcha Shimcha La'olam Ba'ed V'chol Yom Avarchecha V'ala Shimcha La'olam Ba'ed Gadol Adonai Umahulal Ma'od Ugdulata Ein Cheker Dor Lador Yashabach Ma'asecha Ugvuratecha Yagidu Hadar Kavod Hodecha Divrei Niflaotecha Asicha. Okay, I'm going to stop now, but that's the basic tune, so you know it. the leader will just do the first parts, and then we join in with the every other line. But I think it would be good practice just to learn how, if we're really talking about learning how to read, even if we don't do it, just to read, to know how to read it. Okay, do I have a volunteer to read the first line? I'm looking.
I'll do it.
Thank you, Eileen.
Do you want me to start with the Roman?
This is up to you. You can decide where you want to start. I was just thinking about that.
Roman Elohai HaMelech V'Havracha Shimcha Leolam Vayed.
But it's hard. I have actually, it's funny because I know it, and I was stumbling over the Avarcha, and I don't do it. That's when we don't do it. We don't really pay attention. Interesting. Yes, one more line.
The whole Yom Avar Hecha V'Halala Shimcha Leolam Vayed.
Good. I realized I've noticed something else though, and I noticed it when I was reading it because we don't really pay attention when we sing sometimes. It's actually avarcheka, because that one does have a dot in it. Usually we don't have a dot. Remember, it's usually a cha, but because of grammatical reasons, there is a dot. There's actually ka, just as a point of information for all the times that we don't, that we say it's not the K sound. This one is. Okay, somebody else, Gadol. Okay, Arlene Schwartz.
Gadol Adonai Hulal Lal.
Yes.
Me'od
Good.
League.
League.
Duato.
Good.
Ain Hey Care.
Good. Exactly right. That's exactly right. Gadol Adonai Umuhu Lal Ma'od League Du La To Ein Faker. Perfect. Thank you.
Ashrae
Yes.
mean. What Ashrae mean? Ashrae.
Ashrae. What does Ashrae mean? That is a good question.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good question. I can't.
I don't mean to.
I'm trying to think. What does it mean? I think it must have. It has something to do with joy. I know exactly what it is, but it clearly has something to do with joyousness and happy. Because you can see just if you look at the English.
Should I try one more line there?
Sure, if you'd like to.
I'll try it. Door, lidor, yeshavach, ma'asecha,
Good.
ugevurotecha,
Good.
do.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. You're right. Good. Door la door. Generation to generation. Okay, because we talk about generations a lot when we talk about continuity. Door la door, from generation to generation. Good. Okay, do I have another volunteer? Yeah, Cindy, I haven't heard from you. I miss your voice.
There she is.
I don't know if you're reading this. I'm not hearing. Adar, you're not muted, but I don't hear you.
I'll speak loud. I'll start again.
Great, thanks.
Hadar, Kivod, Hodecha, Vidiv, Ray, Nefli, Otecha.
Nif lo techa. Do you see it?
Niflo Techa.
Good.
Asiha.
Good. You want to read another one? One more.
Ne'ezos.
What is that? I can't hear. One again.
Vet as zoos, vet as zoos, sorry.
Good.
Vet as
Thank
zoos.
you. Good.
Vet zoo. Nor o techa.
Good.
Yo, wait, no, yo meru.
Good.
Ugdula, wait, u,
Do.
wait, ugdula latcha.
Atecha. Ujatecha. Yeah. One more.
Asap, breath, nah, asap.
Good. Asaprena. Good. Good.
I have a cute story about
Harder
us.
than you think. You think we sing this all the time. We should be good at this. Yes. The words are not so easy. Yes.
I have a cute story about Ashrae when we're done reading.
Okay. We're gonna still be done now because it's 10:57. So we can go back to it if people want to go back to it next week. I did it just because somebody asked, but we can do it or not do it, whatever you like. Anyway, and maybe we'll actually, because we have a lot that I would like to try to accomplish. We have a few prayers that we want to do. We may just do the ones that the congregation does. Because this is not something we have to, well, we'll see. Anyway, yes, I'm listening to the story about Ashrae first. That's more important.
So when my oldest son had his bar mitzvah, my youngest was 9. And there's, towards the end, there's the part that says BRP. And every time he would say it, he would giggle. So he was saying it during the bar mitzvah, and I was praying that he didn't giggle during the prayer.
And he did a good job, I bet.
He did a great job. And he was only 9. Yeah.
Yes, and this is one of the prayers, actually. It's really lovely that you mentioned that in a lot of synagogues, we let a younger person that's not pre-bar mitzvah, and oftentimes a sibling, and also even for the bar mitzvah kids, we do it at our shul, is do it before their bar mitzvah, just so they get used to being up there and saying something, and let them practice by leading the Ashrae. Yeah, thank you. It's one of those things, when you practice and you do this, and then when you get up there, you hope that it's going to go, and it did, which is wonderful. Thank you. Yes. Okay. So I don't know how you people, I'm going somewhere, but I'm not going till tomorrow night, and I'm not doing anything for New Year's Eve. But I don't know how everybody feels about next week. Yes or no?
I'm game.
Okay, so we will meet next week. If you can come, please. If you can't, that's okay too. I won't hold it against you. But so we will meet next week, and we'll do some of these prayers. Maybe we're gonna. Do you want to do Birkat Hamazon? I don't want to be the one that pushes this. If you want to do it, we will do Birkat Hamazon next week, and I will try to send you the link and the papers. But if you have a copy of it somewhere, it's I don't want you to have a copy, because I want to do the one we're going to do. We're going to do the short one. We're going to do the one that is in, if you have the Women's League calendar diary from the last however many years, or if you have the card, which I don't have with me right now, it's a trifold. And if not, I am going to send sometime before next week, I will send what it looks like, the photos of the pages from the card. And we'll do that next week. Okay.
Could you just,
all right. Yes, Eileen.
Repeat a word for me. Is it
Sure.
Udulotecha or Udulotcha?
Let me see where you are. Let's see. It's in. I'm sure. Let me see where we are.
Line, the second from the last word. Is it Udulotcha or Udulotecha?
Ugdulatecha.
Oh, because I thought
it sounds better. Ugdulatecha.
sounds better, but it's got the silent 2 dots, and that's why I got confused.
Yeah. I think it's yes, as a sound. Yes, Cindy, you're my vowel person. Yes. You're muted.
So
Yes.
I think the reason why it's ticha is because the vowel before is a long ah.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. So
I
Yes.
missed that when I
I
read
said
it.
you're my
Thank
vowel
you.
person. Cindy's my vowel person.
He's good.